idea of a major cosmic impact into the ice sheet has completely obviated the need for a subglacial reservoir, because now we have a way of instantaneously melting enormous volumes of ice.
It's no longer a mystery where the water came from. It's fully explained, and this has been the missing piece of the puzzle until the Comet Research Group began to identify this evidence.
Well, it's baffling to me that this is a source of controversy, because we know that the Great Lakes were created by melting glaciers. We also know that there's vast areas of North America that are flattened by these glaciers. You know, a buddy of mine, my friend Doug, lives in Cazenovia, Wisconsin, which is what's called the driftless area, where the glaciers didn't go through.
I just was there in May.
It's beautiful.
Last May. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's got rolling hills, and it's just it wasn't crushed flat like other parts of North America were.
Right.
So we know that those glaciers melted and they created the Great Lakes. I mean, the Great Lakes were from glaciers. We know that.
Right.
That's an established fact. So why is all this confusing? I just don't understand why they wouldn't just add that to it. They're just going to accept the glaciers somehow or another. In the last 10,000 years, the glaciers just decided to stop smashing North America flat and melt and create these great inland oceans of fresh water.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
bizarre.
It's very bizarre. Ultimately, a lot of ideology is involved in this. There's this desire, also in the modern world, there's a desire not to panic the public, not to say things that are going to cause panic. You know,
even with Donald Trump being president, don't you think people are ready now?
I think people are ready for panic. I think so.
Has anybody debated you on this? Either one of you on this?
Well, you know, I tried to, but not specifically on this, I tried to do a debate with Zahi Hawass, who's the guy who runs the Giza pyramids. And
he's a madman.
Yeah, total, I mean, very crazy event. But
there's a video of it online.
There's a video.
It's quite hilarious.
There's a video of it online.
The debate lasts, what, 30 seconds?
It's something like that. Yeah. And then later on, when he finally agreed to come back into the room, because he was so angry with me, he walked out. When he finally came back into the room, he was asked a question about Göbekli Tepe, and just like your skeptic, he didn't know anything about Göbekli Tepe, or he claimed not to know about it. I mean, this is supposed to be the world's most famous Egyptologist, and he knew nothing about this incredible site in a neighboring country. But one point to make: Randall was talking about the second event, 11,600 years ago. We're dealing with an episode of cataclysm, which begins 12,800 years ago and ends 11,600 years ago. Both episodes accompanied by massive floods. And the 11,600 years ago date, I may have mentioned this last year, it's in Magicians of the Gods. What's interesting about that is the exact date that Plato gives us for the destruction of the lost civilization of Atlantis. Plato, that's the only source we have for Atlantis. It comes to us, many people think it's all over the place, but it's not. Atlantis comes to us from the Greek philosopher Plato, who lived around 340 BC. And he got the story through his family line, from his ancestor Solon, who had visited Egypt in 600 BC. And there Solon was told of a great civilization that had existed on Earth, that was the progenitor civilization of Egypt, but that was destroyed in a terrible cataclysm. And he asked, a cataclysm involving a gigantic flood, and Atlantis was submerged beneath the waves and was never seen again. And so Solon said to the priests, when did this happen? And they said 9,000 years ago. That was in 600 BC. So that's 9,600 BC. That's 11,600 years ago. That's Meltwater Pulse 1b. How could they know? You know?
How could they know?
We have to start taking this stuff more seriously. Instead of sneering at it and skepticizing it out of existence, we need to leave a little bit of room for extraordinary ideas possibly being right. That's the main beef I have with the skeptics, is that they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I want to add something to that. In the Timaeus, Plato discusses Atlantis in 2 dialogues. And in the Timaeus, he prefaces the story of Atlantis by recounting the myth of Phaeton. Now, the myth of Phaeton is a very interesting story, and basically what it is Phaeton was the